As humans, we are born with an intrinsic desire to fit in somewhere, to belong somewhere. But if you think about what fitting in actually means, you'll understand that it is not the same as belonging somewhere. When you're trying to fit in somewhere, essentially all you're doing is shifting and molding your personality and your identity in order to be normal. And this is something that will completely ruin your life. You want to fit into this metaphorical puzzle that is your life, and all this means is just being like everybody else, blending in and shifting your identity and molding your identity so it is normal. And you're probably told this at a very young age, that you should just be like everybody else, be like the other kids, don't do anything too crazy, don't stick out. And you probably agree, because feeling isolated or feeling different can make people think that something is wrong with them, when that is not the case at all. But in reality, all those flaws and weaknesses that you have now are not flaws or weaknesses. They're strengths, and they are the things that make you unique. They make you you. So when you try super hard to fit in somewhere, you're essentially taking away all of those unique characteristics, those things that make you yourself, and you're getting rid of them in order to fit into that puzzle. But you never actually realize that you are just jamming yourself in there. You're not actually fitting in anywhere. You're jamming yourself in somewhere. We can all agree that fitting in just means trying to be normal. But if you think about what normal actually means, a normal 74-year-old is fat, divorced, hates their life, works a job they hate. Why is that something that people are trying so hard to pursue? But there's this constant tension that people have where they're trying super hard to live authentically and be themselves, but also feel part of something that's bigger than themselves and feel connected, feel like they belong somewhere. So this is where I think there's an identity paradox, where we all are craving our unique self-expression, but we also don't want to deal with the consequences of not conforming somewhere. But multiple times in my life, I have sacrificed parts of my identity in order to make it seem like I belong somewhere. It's almost like a shoe that you have that's way too small. You're jamming your foot inside there, and it might look okay on the outside, but on the inside, it's uncomfortable. You're honestly in pain. And that is the cost of trying super hard to fit in. You are jamming yourself into places where you don't actually fit. And it might look okay, but on the inside, you are not okay. You are suppressing everything that makes you unique. You're able to conform to this standard, but there's nothing that you're actually getting out of it. And I want to make this very clear. Fitting in is nowhere close. It does not mean the same thing as belonging somewhere. Fitting in somewhere means shifting and molding and scraping your identity in order to appear like you belong somewhere. Belonging somewhere is expressing yourself truly and authentically and being accepted for who you are and being appreciated and being celebrated for it. Like, I want you to imagine a penguin trying to survive in the desert and thinking they're a loser when they're not a loser at all. They just are completely unaware that there's a place called Antarctica that they just don't know yet that they would thrive in. Or like if you were an eagle, but all you knew was hanging out with ducks and they shunned you for not being able to eat the crumbs in the water. Little do they know, you have this ability to soar in the air magnificently, but you just haven't been able to express it yet, or show it, or be appreciated for it. And the worst thing you can possibly do is suppress who you are, because that is when stuff gets dark. That is when people go to some really, really deep, bad places. When people are not in the environment that they are meant to be in, when they're forcing themselves to try and fit into this environment, they are at odds with themselves. They are fighting with themselves internally, because who they are portraying on the outside is not who they are on the inside. And they'll begin to think that they're not worthy of love or acceptance, but really the environment that they're in is just not the one for them. They're pretty much the penguin who's living in the desert who has no idea that Antarctica exists. And it really makes me upset that people will go to such extreme lengths to suppress their characteristics, to suppress the things that make them different, when the best thing that you can possibly do in this lifetime, I swear, is be authentic and embrace yourself. Because when you start to do this, when you start to embrace who you are and live authentically, you will attract the people and the places and the environments that accept you for who you are. And I don't care what anybody says, whatever you emit out into the universe, out into the ether, is what will come back to you. So if you emit a fake personality, if you are fake all the time and you're not living like who you actually are, you're going to attract people and places who reward being fake and not living like who you are. And I've seen this firsthand. The moment I started being myself and started embracing who I actually am, the moment I started to get all these different opportunities and people in my life that would come to me because I was emitting that frequency into the world. I was emitting authenticity, and I was able to attract the people who are authentic and appreciate me for who I am. Because when you belong somewhere, you will feel it. You will not feel like you have to force yourself to act a certain way or be a certain way or talk a certain way or think a certain way. That's not how it's supposed to work. And trust me, I've gone through this multiple times in many different situations where I think I'm supposed to act some way, but I'm just not in a place where my true authentic self can be appreciated, can be expressed fully, and celebrated. So the first thing you need to do is establish a foundation of beliefs and core values that you have. And as you begin to build this foundation of values and beliefs, you're going to have a better understanding of who you actually are, like what you actually are on the inside. What do you believe? What do you think about the world? What do you think about yourself? What do you think about other people? You have these core beliefs that define you. Essentially, you have to stand for something, because if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And that's why people who don't have any of these core beliefs, these core values, will pretty much do whatever people tell them, because they don't have anything to go against. They don't have a foundation that makes them who they are. They don't even know who they are. And obviously, it's important to be open to having these beliefs and values challenged. And that's the whole point of it all. But if you don't have them in the first place, you don't have a grasp of your actual identity and who you are. And once you are able to kind of define these beliefs and refine them a little bit, you need to have the courage to stand up for them and say them and, speak up for what you believe in. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you are having to lie about something or say something that you don't actually believe in, you've lost. Like that is the last thing you can do when you are trying to live authentically and figure out where you actually belong. You do not want to be lying to people and trying to act a certain way in order to impress the people that might not even give a fuck. You're trying to impress the wrong people. The people that accept you and love you and appreciate you are not the people that you feel like you have to act a certain way around, act different around. You don't need to impress anybody except for yourself. Because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself. There's literally no reason to live a life that is designed for other people and acting like other people. That is the last thing that you should be doing. And when it comes to friendships, you need to choose quality over quantity. It sounds very, very simple and, probably a little cliche. It's very important to understand that friendship is not something that can just happen. It can't be just something that you take lightly, because if a true friend is more valuable than you probably will ever know until you actually have one. And to be completely honest, you should try and avoid people who are friends with everybody, because I don't want to elaborate, just do it. Just don't. But the moment you start embracing your true nature and stop suppressing who you truly are, the moment you'll start to notice that things in your life start to happen for you, opportunities will start to come to you that are just almost too good to be true. People will come into your life that are almost too awesome, too amazing to be true. Everything just starts unfolding so easily when you start living authentically, and you will finally be able to understand that what you put out comes back to you. Whatever frequency you're emitting out into the world is what you will attract. So please do not try and jam yourself into a place where you do not feel welcome, where you are having to shave off parts of your identity in order to feel normal, to be normal, because at the end of the day, that is a disservice to yourself, a disservice to everybody else who loves you, and a disservice to the people who would come to you and appreciate you for who you actually are. Just the more you live authentically, the more you embrace your true nature, you're going to find that place where you belong. So every single day, make it a mission to live completely and unapologetically as yourself, because that is the best thing you could ever possibly do for everybody in the entire world.